Folks, we have got a lot of stuff to look at today. Thanks for joining us. Thanks for the increasing numbers tuning in. And hopefully you're finding that this podcast is helping you in terms of saving time. You don't have to be drifting through all the major items of the day across thousands of media. We try and compile some of the top stories for you and things of interest to you. So thanks for tuning in. Looking at some breaking news out of Canada, it kind of goes in line with what we're seeing and hearing in the U.S. on crime stats. And the federal government in Canada has sort of been denial about crime statistics going up. The latest release just coming out today and yesterday showing crime, for instance, on public transit in major cities across Canada going up over the last several years, going up over 300%. Now, those of us who take public transit, and that includes my wife and myself, certainly we have cars, but where I can and in what cities where we find ourselves, we always enjoy trying the public transit. Certainly when I was in New York 3 years ago, working on a project for a number of months, we took the subway all the time. We shocked New Yorkers who lived there all the time and said, wow, we would never take public transit. We found the subway to be okay, actually not bad. Sure, there's some sketchy folks down there, but the stats are very clear, rocketing up, not just overnight, but it's been a continuing trend for the last 10 years. Increase of 300% in terms of crime on public transit. And this goes along with the trend of many cities who don't want to show that crime is going up. They're actually fudging the numbers. And so some will say, well, we're only going to record those where people were convicted, charged, and went to jail, when in fact, the numbers of crimes being reported is going up. Less are going to jail because most simply, if they get charged at all, the charges are dropped. They go through the revolving door system. They don't even have to pay bail, and they're out on the streets. And this is a continuing theme, and we're asking government to look at this. It's a small percentage of people overall who keep incredibly repeating the same crimes. But because we have a culturally Marxist media that hates to report anything like this, and because we have liberal politicians who are in absolute fear of the media, the culturally Marxist media, they're in fear of being seen as, out of touch or being mean. And so all they want to do is make more free drugs, more free treatment centers, more free accommodation for the people who are doing the worst crimes. That's the reward system that's in place now. And it's time politicians need to realize, either on the local level, municipal, provincial, state, or national, they can actually get reelected by showing that the most caring and loving thing you can do for somebody who's addicted and who is responsible for increasing violent crime in a serial way, the most loving thing you can do is hold them, have them incarcerated so they can begin a program of getting off the drugs that have ruined their lives and are ruining the lives of others. Some politicians are starting to notice this and others are not, but these stats are going way up. And then we're also hearing the corresponding concern, people saying, well, it's just on the public transit. First of all, that's a terrible thing to say, because many people rely on public transit. But hidden underneath, or not even hidden, overshadowed by the reports of increased crime on public transit, is increased crime in general, up across the board 53%. So folks, it's going up, and politicians are saying it's not really a bad thing. Don't worry about it. People do worry about it, and people can get elected if they do this on a crime on the basis of dealing with serious repeat crime. So we're looking at those figures today. There's another concerning report that has just come out, and our regular listeners and watchers, whether in Canada or the US, you will be aware that Canada for years has been trying to make a decision on what type of fighter jet we should be buying. Ours, the CF-18s and others, they're the remarkable aircraft for their day and obviously still are capable, but they're being outpaced and outstripped and outflown by other aircraft around the world. Our pilots, our aviators are the best in the world. They deserve the best equipment. That consistently proves to be the F-35. When I was in government and Stephen Harper was Prime Minister, we were actually zeroing in on making the decision on the F-35s. They are the most remarkable fighter jet capacity in the world by far. And yet Justin Trudeau, when he became Prime Minister and just didn't like dealing with Americans, he put that off, the purchase of the F-35s. And then Mark Carney, because he's upset with the American tariff approach, and I don't like tariffs any more than anybody else, but to just be sulking and to go into a bit of a peak and say, you know what, we're going to look at another jet, we're going to look at Sweden's Gripen jet. Well, the report has come out, the most thorough reporting comparison of these two jets, the F-35s or the Swedish jet, and in every single capacity, without comparison, without even like hands down, the F-35 was the superior jet craft. And here we have the Liberals, the federal Liberals, really putting Canada's security at risk and diminishing the security of the continent, because if we had F-35s, there's some alignments there with our allies to the south, a little country by the name of the United States, who also runs F-35s among other planes. But there's some alignment there which would enhance our security. And we actually get to the place where, once again, federal Liberals are so psychologically impaired in terms of dealing with anything with the U.S. that they're actually putting our safety at risk. And it's time for the Prime Minister to stand up and say why he continues to pursue an inferior jet made by Sweden, and nothing against Sweden, but these are just the tests, why he is doing that instead of completing the deal on the F-35s. Let's get on with it. Also in Canadian news, but in something that affects the U.S., in the world of sport, one of Canada's top female swimmers ever, Penny Oleksiak, I hope I pronounced her name correctly, has just been given a 2-year ban. She's been kicked out of sports, out of the Olympics, for 2 years. And why is that? Well, there's some very strict rules at Olympic rating and at world event rating when it comes to the taking of certain type of drugs. And it's good to have those rules in place. One of the rules is called the whereabouts rule. And that means every day you're in training, first of all, as an athlete at that top elite level worldwide, you have to send in your training report, and you have to always tell the testing agency where you are geographically, because testing is done on an unannounced basis. If you are a world athlete and you are applying to compete in world events, be it the Olympic or other events, then the process is you agree that at any time there can be a knock at your door and you have to give a test, a drug test. And in the last 12 months, on 3 occasions, Penny was not available when the drug testers came calling. She was available at other times. At other times, she always showed that she was clean. So I'm not getting into that dispute other than to say she's been kicked out for 2 years because in the course of a year, 3 times, she wasn't available when the testers showed up unannounced at the door. So, okay, let's say that's a tough rule. But on the same token, and one of the reasons why the Olympic standards people are quite rightly looking at shutting down the transgender ban is that if you are a biological male and you have transgendered and are going to be competing against girls and against women, the amount of drugs you have to take in a trans program, whether you're an athlete or not, is formidable. There's the rejection drugs, there's anxiety drugs, of course there's testosterone reducing drugs, massive amounts of drugs and pharmaceuticals you have to take, and apparently that's all okay. But somebody like our Canadian swimmer Penny, who's tested consistently clean, gets booted for 2 years. It's a gross inconsistency. I'm glad it appears that the Olympic Federation is starting to smarten up on this and is going to be putting restrictions and stopping the ability for so-called biologically born men who trans into supposedly women. Again, I say let's look at a category. Let them have a category. Let there be a trans category. I think it would be very popular. People would watch it. Why do we have this continuing thing where biologically born men are continually able to crush the hopes and dreams of young girls and young women? And let's leave aside the debate on entering into their private spaces. So a little bit of inconsistency there from the Olympic Committee regarding our Canadian swimmer, top world champion Penny Oleksiak. One thing, I wonder if somebody answer this, maybe in the comment section. The super top swimmer in Canada is a young woman by the name of Summer McIntosh. She's shattering all records from the time she's about 14 years old. Just stunning performer. It seems to be a very wholesome young woman and a great family. And really, outside of the swim events, she doesn't get that much coverage. And I don't know if I'm just being overly concerned about her, but why doesn't she get more coverage? She's just a great role model. I'd like to see more about Summer McIntosh in the news. Well, on the U.S. front, just when you thought things couldn't get wilder, we have in the news claims being made by Roger Stone. You'll remember Roger Stone, a former close associate of President Trump and former presidents. He was formerly known as the Mr. Fix-It guy, the guy who fixed problems. He actually went to jail for a while and had to be pardoned. But he's got newscasts and he still stays prominent. He is saying that he has the proof that within the CIA itself, elements are being taken as a form of a coup against who? Some other country? No, against President Donald Trump. And he's porting to everything from, the Democrats putting out these reports and telling people in the armed forces not to obey rules that are illegal and getting all kinds of concern being raised. He's reporting and he says he's convinced there's an actual coup in the works and partly rolling out among the CIA. I have no idea if that's true. I have met Roger Stone on a number of occasions. I've actually been on his show. No idea, folks, if that is true, but certainly that's going to be getting headlines, not just today, but in the days ahead. So I thought you might want to be informed of that. In terms of the markets, generally markets in the States have some bearing on markets in Canada. And as I predicted last week, there was a lot of concern about the announcements coming out, the quarterly announcements of companies like NVIDIA, and that it was going to be grim news and you were going to see a kind of a market crash. I made the prediction last week and the week before that we were not going to see that. That in fact, the news was going to be kind of positive. No question that a lot of the AI stocks, because of the rush to see the amazing developments that AI is having, is causing, in many cases, as in a rush like this, you do see overvalued stocks. That's different than a bubble bursting. And as I predicted last week, NVIDIA reported strong results, strong performance, and forward-looking. And so we've seen, for two reasons, there's an uptick in the market. That's that ongoing, relatively good performance among AI stocks, and also the Fed in the U.S. The thinking is there's going to be a lowering of the interest rate in December. So people try and bake that into their projections when they're looking at investing. So a couple of reasons there that the stock market generally is in a bit of a rally in the U.S. And again, leading those are the AI stocks, the tech stocks, NVIDIA, Alphabet, Apple seem to be the leaders in that ongoing run-up. We'll see where it goes. In terms of trends, you all will remember, certainly those who are of my age or around about, everybody knows Martha Stewart. Martha Stewart making a bit of a comeback here. American Eagle is putting her on their front cover. Remember American Eagle? Of course, they had the situation with Sydney Sweeney, who was modeling those jeans very successfully and making the comment about everything is in the jeans. And then, of course, the extreme laugh went completely wild and berserk, saying that was hidden coded message. And in fact, it wasn't. And the amazing thing is Sydney Sweeney did not apologize. She said that this was pretty crazy accusations, and she just took her stand. The jeans are selling well. American Eagle stock has gone up, and now they're putting Martha Stewart out there on the cover. Why? Because of old people? No, because the younger generation of Zoomers are kind of catching on to Martha Stewart and liking her. So back she goes on the front cover there. We'll see how long that lasts and where that goes. And it's not just Martha Stewart who's being looked at in terms of trends, but you'll recall, and we reported it here, you may have heard it first here, about the closing up of Teen Vogue, which had been a staple for the so-called teen market for years, and then it's been revealed that it was actually just older, pretty strong liberals who were really promoting all kinds of notions of Teen Vogue. Anyway, what we're seeing now is Teen Vogue being actually embraced, or what used to be Teen Vogue, by the, yes, you guessed it, by the Gala Met crowd, and they are now reporting that the biggest status symbol right now among the so-called teen crowd is the Bal de Debutants. The Debutantes Ball is not only did it not go anywhere, it's back and streaming strongly. To see the various 19 various debutantes who are going to be showing off their beautiful gowns. Some of those gowns, Oscar de la Renta and others, of course, above the price range that I would be in or that my granddaughters would be in. But teens are seeming to embrace that. So interesting to watch that trend grow. It's not all about rejecting materialism. Seems to be materialism is being embraced pretty strongly. And you remember the movie Rush Hour? It was kind of a fun movie. Came out a number of years ago. Charlie Chan and the two cops working together, kind of a comedic thing. And then that was a huge success, a huge market success. You may be aware there were two sequels to that, Rush Hour 2 and Rush Hour 3. And just when people thought, well, it's run its course, Rush Hour 4 is going to be coming out, but this time with an added little note of interest. You see, Larry Ellison is the CEO of Paramount that is producing this Rush Hour 4, and the word is it's being produced because none other than, yes, you guessed it, Donald Trump really likes the Rush Hour series. And he was talking to Larry and say, hey, Larry, why don't you do another Rush Hour 4? I think it'd be a winner. So that's coming out. Let's see if Larry makes money off of Donald Trump's suggestion. And as far as Rush Hour, if some of you are caught in Rush Hour right now, I hope this newscast, and that you're listening, not watching, of course, if you're driving, but I hope our podcast is helpful to you as you rush through your day. Thanks so much, and we'll talk to you tomorrow.